So this morning, we're going to talk about the big picture with YouTube. And I'm going to bring up a number of issues within this single morning podcast, issues that I've already brought up, things that are happening now since our last discussion in the post YouTube boycott, which people that don't even have conspiratorial lines of thought, right? Other YouTubers, other mainstream YouTubers, some people call them leftists. I mean, David Pakman is an example. And he talked about his revenue going down 95%. And he also spoke about the excuse why they're having the YouTube boycott. Snapshots taken of ads running on a white supremacist channel. There was an investigation done, however, by the YouTube community, and many people discovered that the channel wasn't even monetized. So the whole thing is a setup to hurt independent content creators. It doesn't matter if you're left or you're right. Some people are celebrating this. Some people are going to be able to yield this blow, the future of content creation. And it's something that a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's listener supported content. And this is a way that they can de-incentivize, take away the incentive to create one's own content and basically work for themselves. But that's only for those that see YouTube as the only way to do that. And so, it's actually been asked of me a few times, not a lot, how someone could get started with their own YouTube channel. Other people are noting that for the younger person up and coming in the generation that we're in now, it's perceived to be a lot more difficult, and it is. It's not impossible. If someone's content is good, more than likely there will be an audience to support it. There are, of course, issues that we face with getting out our own content if we've become dependent on the social media ghettos. And we can describe that as putting someone's content mostly on YouTube and or promoting it mostly on Facebook or Twitter. The reason YouTube became very popular is because of the unlimited space. We went from 15-minute uploads, or was it 10? Maybe 10 to 15 to, if someone didn't have any major copyright strikes, they can upload content for hours and hours and hours. That costs money somewhere, right, to hold that server space. So we've been helping Google and YouTube grow as a corporation. And in return, we've received some peanuts along the way and a means to promote our own work and promote our own websites. It's been a relationship that worked out for the people for a period of time. And now people that put all their eggs in one basket, so to speak, or most of them, they're finding themselves boxed in. With the recent announcement from AMTV that they are no longer able to upload, that sets a dangerous precedent. See, the writing was on the wall several years ago, but really becoming more obvious late 2015, as I saw many of my videos demonetized, as others did as well. That's right around the time that I started thinking about an on-demand channel, but I didn't yet come to a decision on which of the VOD services would be right for myself. I spent hours doing Google searches, VOD services, and it kept routing me to corporate VOD services, Netflix-like services to watch corporate programming that's on demand. And the thing that people forget is, people get used to, if you've lived your whole life exposed to the mainstream media and Hollywood graphics and major productions. And so there's a perception that that is worth something, and that other content that isn't produced like that, that isn't endorsed by the mainstream media, that isn't endorsed by regular society, isn't worth anything. And so YouTube has, in a way, helped some of us get our message across It can also be argued that it devalues the content itself because of the perception. The perception, it could be a stereotype. That person's just a YouTuber, or that person's a conspiracy theorist. And the value of it is watered down. And it has this free price tag. And you can watch all you want, and as a consumer and as a content creator. So those of you consuming YouTube content, which includes myself, as well as the creator, unlimited watches for free, unlimited uploads for free, and it benefits the advertisers that are benefiting from all of those eyes on those ads. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about the major corporations that rule the world. And on the other hand, we're also dealing with government propaganda. We saw a lot of this during the election. I saw a lot of, be afraid. I'm not going to use all the key words, but a lot of terrifying imagery to sway things in a particular direction. If you don't vote, they win. And if I even say the T word, the video could be flagged. And so this brings me to the next issue. You have the reality that we just walked into artificial intelligence quicker than perhaps some people expected, but it's a sign of warning. It's a major warning sign when you have videos, like you can look at some of my videos, you may not know this, but there are some videos that were demonetized just simply because of what I was saying in the video, the news that I was reporting on. See, it's okay for the mainstream media to talk about what's happening over there, this coming conflict with these nations that won't be named. Do you see the Orwellian reality that we're in? Why would someone celebrate an Orwellian reality or a machine is saying, nope, you can't use these buzzwords or hot topics, or your video will be demonetized? Alex Jones, that's fine. ABC News, that's fine. And see, this isn't about Alex Jones tonight because I've done enough videos. That man is soaring in the charts, on the SEO ratings, and he's on a hiring spree. And so as other YouTubers, including controversial YouTubers, but also non-controversial YouTubers, as they get ready to eat dirt, so to speak, unless they have a backup plan to keep operating, they're going to go under. Now think about this. We're talking about people that are in this, and I don't mean new age like new age movement, but like a new era of time with technology. I don't mean utopia. I mean, we have tools now that your ancestors and my ancestors never had. And one of the gifts that we have as human beings is the gift of communication. Okay, yes, we may be gifted with our ability to slave away and use our other skills to make others money. Where is this psychology coming from? That there has to be several middlemen or middle women, i.e. working for someone else. And there's so many chains of and routes in which that money is flowing when you're working for someone else. Why not use your gift of communication if you were born with the gift and if you're trying to help people? I'll also say that by design, we've been divided, and people will rally against that which they hate, even Trump, more than those people that they support. There'll be hundreds to thousands hating on a guy for supporting Trump, but then going, okay, Trump's gone too far, and then throwing him under the bus. Well, at least he's being honest about what the situation is right now, despite what Donald Trump promised before the election. Donald Trump broke his promises, and one of his supporters, thank God, is holding him accountable. That's what a human being with a soul does. Oh, okay, maybe you were conned, and now it's time to expose the man for who he is. Donald Trump leading us to this conflict. And I'm looking at the comments, and they are brutal. I mean, the man has lost his ability to upload. People want to throw him under the bus. Now, what about then, if that's really how they feel? What about supporting someone that called Donald Trump as a selection and that he would start World War III? Nobody touches that article that I wrote that's at alexansary.tv entitled Selection, Donald Trump, World War III with China, Russia. And just saying that alone, getting back to that, What kind of a reality is this where I need to censor myself and stay within a YouTube kid-friendly box of fuzzy animals, cats chasing their tail, playing video games, but a lot of the video game channels, as well as wrestling channels, as well as makeup channels, and for reasons that aren't even given to human beings. Again, a precedent for larger things that might terrify you. We don't really need to go there. When we talk about the robot apocalypse and the robot takeover, robots deciding who gets to live or die, here we have robots getting to decide, and people are cheering this on. People are cheering this on. What kind of humans would cheer on artificial intelligence randomly choosing to demonetize videos? And see, we're in a society now where a large amount of people that are fans of certain channels are fans simply because they watch it for entertainment, or they hate the person. They watch who they hate. What about watching who you like? Watching who you're inspired by? Watching someone who you agree with? There are so many YouTube channels out there, and honestly, I don't watch channels in which I get angry at the host, because that's not a place where I want to be. Do you know that too much anger can cause cancer? And that I know in my own life that unarrested anger at anyone or anything is not healthy. And it's certainly not good for me as a host to speak with spitfire and anger. And I don't know if you noticed this, I make a concerted effort to not just go off ranting and cussing at you or other people. I've never been perfect, and I've made my mistakes. But the way that I'm looking at this right now is at any moment, it could be our last podcast because of the events that are taking place in our world. And it is frightening. And that's why I take time to be grateful each and every day that I at least feel somewhat safer here than I did in Portland, Oregon. I worry about the people in Portland, even if I guess there's a little bit of heartache, because I felt that so-called progressive city was a little judgmental in response to the information that I shared with the people. And I got that type of energy backlash. And I've also received other types of energy backlash, as I've talked about recently. It's no paradise living off the grid when you have psychotic neighbors. So I'm in a situation off grid, which is not common for a YouTube creator or anyone in general kicking out content. And I don't do it professionally. And in no way is my content up to par for full-on broadcast TV. But can it get that way? Can it evolve to that? As I build my skills more than they are right now, placing of cameras, backgrounds, lighting, editing. I now have Adobe on this computer. Prior to that, I've been using a free program that came with this laptop that was less than $400. It's actually lasted me longer than other PCs. My Mac has been out of commission. So with very minimal, and the flip cam that you see me use often, I mean, literally something like that is $30 or $40 on eBay. So I'm not even working with professional grade cameras. But if I don't use a lot of compression, you'll notice in some of the recent videos, I'm getting a little bit better color quality as opposed to the Canon R500. Or is it the HF500? Which is like 150 or 200 retail, but doesn't have the same color specs. So ladies and gentlemen, creating content takes work. Sometimes it is just a matter of pushing a button, but there's editing, there's uploading. For those of us that are sensitive, there's that sense of being really disliked because of what you're saying. And even though some of you are really articulate with some of your comments that I've seen over the years, at the moment, I mean, it's difficult to say which voice is louder, but sometimes it's not the supporters. And I can see how YouTube, and I don't want to go off on this and lose people that came to listen to this podcast for other reasons, but we as human beings, we are somewhat psychic and sensitive, and a lot of human beings are resistant to this. The path to transhumanism is paved with our deep bond with social media and our social media relationships replacing real relationships. It's something that I've been noticing for some time. And some people are noticing this. Sometimes it can be a positive thing. Sometimes it can be a negative thing. And so we should be responsible for where we put our attention and awareness on the internet. And so it seems like YouTube is some sort of a beast in conjunction with Google and Facebook, gobbling up energy, attention, awareness, views, counts, and then issuing paychecks for several years for those that put all their energy in this space. And they set up a comment section that's routed through government intelligence servers. But despite the fact that people know that, unless the comment section is open, they won't comment on my work. They are more, this isn't an insult. This is the conclusion that I've reached. Unless I leave the comment section open, there's not going to be comments on my forum because it's not perceived as valuable enough, or there's a sense of fear maybe. But why not concern with the Google, YouTube servers and those comments literally being routed through the NSA? And it doesn't mean that other things aren't routed through the NSA. It's like we know that YouTube is. And I've seen people make death threats and say, some pretty outrageous things. I would also say that YouTube may very well be a vehicle, so to speak, for pay trolls. And don't just think about the CIA and Israel. There are Russian trolls and there are Chinese trolls. And the technology does exist to make translations. So there are other forces trying to get us to fight. And sometimes it's literally a genuine racist going, you subhuman, white genocide, blah, blah, blah. But in other cases, I wonder. And they say they're going to use AI to fight white supremacy. What if AI itself and Google has been driving some of this stuff? And I say that facetiously. I believe that Google, YouTube, and other corporations have been driving a lot of the intelligence agencies worldwide, fake news and disinformation. And what they're doing is, it's a false flag. They're going after genuine independent media. Some people took the bait and got deep into, I'm not going to say the buzzwords, certain theories about certain pizzerias and certain places, and they missed the ball on the larger picture. And with regards to that, it's not just geopolitics, but it's the ongoing conflicts in the Middle East that will, and that's what's actually kind of sad and insulting. As a person that has been talking about these issues for years and has gone through a fair amount of judgment from society, to see the robot turn on me simply because I'm discussing casualty deaths in certain key countries. Really, Americans aren't allowed now on YouTube to speak about what's going on in foreign. I mean, this is a threat to not only free speech, it's a threat to other forms of life under this robot empire that's building. That's not going to be controlled by some random architect in the Matrix, but it's going to be controlled by the world elite. But they themselves seem to be controlled by a dark entity. So we're witnessing the end of YouTube for some people as we look at the potential for World War III to kick off. Think about some of the people that are dependent on that check. And why insult them? Aren't there other people that are dependent on their check as a nurse or at the grocery store? I mean, dependency, you get used to working somewhere. You get used to a routine. Some people do 8-hour days, 12-hour days, 16-hour days, running their YouTube channel and having a staff of several dozen. What's wrong with someone having a staff of several dozen? Why would people cheer and go, now you have to lay off your staff? Where is this thinking coming from? Now you have to go work for a corporation. Now you have to go work for a bank. Now you have to go work at a gas station. Now you have to work at McDonald's. And then people are sitting back like energy vampires, enjoying this because they don't like their lives. Because they don't like their lives. Because they're not generating income online, but some of them aren't even trying. Then why hate on the person that did? Because you have to walk through hot coals to even get there. The criticism, the hatred, in some cases people deal with stalkers, death threats, and other things when they become targeted public figures by other larger figures Or we could see also Alex Jones has not targeted certain public figures, but targeted certain employers, like the guy in Idaho or others, to where the internet, instead of bringing us together, brings haters together to where they go on internet gang stalking campaigns. I mean, the internet and YouTube and so much of this has become like inverted by what I call the archons. It's your responsibility, if you're curious enough, to go down that path. But our society and our planet is being socially engineered into a certain particular direction. And going back to basic advice, and as I work on closing here, because these are the things that I'm reflecting on that I never did from the beginning. Say a young man or woman is interested in starting their own channel. Now, think outside the box of YouTube being the place to start it necessarily, especially now. And YouTube doesn't really deserve our trust and admiration because of what it's done and what it's doing to people. It's not right. It's a bad relationship. It's become an abusive relationship. It's become a little bit threatening. It's become very controlling. It's like a bad marriage. It seems one way and you have a honeymoon, and then all of a sudden then the domestic violence and the shouting begins and the threats. Well, right now our channels are being threatened, and the next step is for channels that are marked as being too controversial for them to go dark, which is why I'm saying back up your channel. So as far as free services, I haven't yet come to, and when I decide, and people have recommended Twitch, but I also see patterns, and this isn't an insult, where people just start echoing like the latest thing. The latest thing isn't the best thing. It could be another corporate, and it doesn't mean that all corporate websites are no good, but it could be literally a front for something else. It just wants to gobble up energy, attention, likes, views, emotion, and just be an alternative to YouTube, but that's all it is. Just like there's some alternative media, which isn't necessarily truthful media, but it's alternative. So just because something alternative to the mainstream media, an alternative to YouTube, doesn't mean it's the right place. Then there's VidMe, where, you know, your video looks like it's splattered next to a bunch of something out of Snapchat. You know, I'm not feeling drawn in. You know, to have my video next to a bunch of teenagers just talking about random stuff with, like, you know, a random donate here. So I haven't started a donate here page for that. Nor am I currently running a massive GoFundMe campaign. And I'm not criticizing that. What I've done is I've decided to continue what I'm doing with video. I'm not even considering quitting. All right. I have to readjust what I'm doing to afford this luxurious lifestyle that requires like $400 a month to live. I say that facetiously, but the point is, I've reached this point where few of our ancestors have, where we have the technology where we can broadcast from where we live outside society. And some people don't realize this has not actually been done before. This is a whole new thing. When people go off grid, they go off grid. They don't broadcast back to society. What's more powerful? What would seem more powerful to you? Speaking to one's audience, speaking one's truth, and living very simply within one's means, living like off 1/4 of what the average person in the city lives off of. Now, how is that disrespectable? Because the amount of fundraising that I would be doing, you know, doing media full time and paying rent for a studio separate from a home, I mean, it would change the whole nature of my content. And so knowing that I don't have to make that much, that by average, I only need to bring in maybe 1/4 of what some of you need to. That enables me the freedom to be who I am. And so instead of having thousands of subscribers, it would be great to see the current number of 20 grow to 100. Okay. I don't need to make tens of thousands of dollars every year. I just need to live and survive and focus on this and not go out and get too entangled with the outside world for my own sanity. This is my job. This is who I am. Not everyone agrees with that that's in this audience. Some do. And some have been listening since the beginning. They're not new viewers. They're not caught up in some sort of a male ego trip over someone living in the woods, basically living within their means and not having to go to a regular jobby job. I even feel this resentment from the neighbor when he drives to work every day. That would be the neighbor who's revving up his engine outside my cabin. He was showing signs of aggression. And I got to sit there and protect my psyche, spiritual protection, to deal with that type of nonsense that this young alcoholic is throwing my direction. But I know where it's coming from. So he's like a real life troll who doesn't really follow my all he knows is that guy don't go to work. That guy don't go to work. And so like literally the slave mentality has penetrated nearly all aspects of our society. That's what's going on here. You look at several years ago, there were some people who were like, wow, Alex, we appreciate your content. We don't hear messages like this. Now, the web's just so oversaturated with decent content, it's not really appreciated anymore. You put it for free on YouTube, and people spend more time making fun of it, criticizing it, and trolling about it, and literally sending and obsessing on the YouTube personalities. There's some of you out there, you do nothing but think about me, and I can feel you. And I'm like, why? Why not focus on the world? Why me? You know who you are. And then you want to act like we don't have a psychic connection? Why do you obsess on this in a hateful direction? What is it about you and others that doesn't want to see it move forward? What is it about us as a society that's been boxed into this hate each other type of a world? I don't want to hate anyone. I don't hate Donald Trump. I don't hate Barack Obama. I see them as servants of this global empire. That doesn't mean I have to hate them. It's a process that's working itself out. People can laugh at me just like they laughed at the Gnostics thousands of years ago. It's not going to stop my content. I wish this was a period in time where we were organizing camp trips and get-togethers and conventions and speeches, but I don't see any evidence in anyone trying to organize that for the people. There are people out there like Mark Passio and others that do certain things out of self-interest to build up their own platform. We've seen Alex Jones with some of his conferences in the past. We've seen Project Camelot bring in so-called government whistleblowers and people like Alfred Weber, who has promoted a lot of New Age deceptions regarding being taken off planet, DNA upgrade all the way by the Pleiadian starships, while supposedly discussing Archon. See, there are conventions and there's money and there's interest around a lot of fluff and disinformation that goes in all different types of directions, disinformation, the spiritual and conspiratorial communities. But when it comes to things that are along the more truthful lines, it's difficult to gather support. And so that's why I'm not on this model or path of waking everybody up or getting everyone to support me, but just basically surviving. The advice, I mean, a lot of this is advice to the new content creator. Whether you go with a free service like YouTube or you go with an on-demand channel, do your research and find out what's right for you. Build your own website. It's easier than it's ever been before. You can buy a template and learn how to place in the widgets. And I got some help doing some of the stuff on my websites. I'm actually going to list my websites now that most of them are updated. World War Zero, that's the number 0.com. That's all geopolitics. There's thedailymatrix.com, which is general news. There's alexansary.tv, where my videos are featured. Not all my YouTube videos, but key selections, because I didn't want to overdo it on the page. And if YouTube goes down, the site will be redone. SolarMaxNews.com. If you've talked about or heard me talk about the solar flares and cycles, and the world wars and revolutions that are correlated with the solar cycles, check out my website, SolarMaxNews.com, and the war cycle section. And there's an article there right now by Dr. Burl Payne. And I'll be updating the main featured section with new information. There's an article there about a magnetic field that was discovered around our planet. Around our solar system. Our entire solar system has its own magnetic field. So I have a number of different interests, from geopolitics to off-grid to the solar flare stuff to discussing spiritual protection, to also sharing some of my stories from my life. And I realized that this is the time to hone my own message, become a better speaker, learn to summarize some of my points in a shorter, more digestible segments. And so I'm branching out, returning to Access Television in Portland. I'm not returning to Portland. I'm producing a show for Portland here. That's right. I've established connections in Portland that will air my show under their name. And so I'm set to be on the air weekly. Think outside the box of YouTube. So if you're going to go with the free channel and link it to your website, do that. But don't think just in terms of the internet or YouTube being like the beginning of independent reporting. Access Television began in the mid-1970s. And I think I'll do a future report because some of you aren't aware of it, and you should. Comcast, by law, has to air local programming in certain areas where the franchise agreement is still being upheld. And that is a contract that for Comcast and these other corporate monopolies to be able to air or have a monopoly, run their fiber optics, they have to designate a few channels for the local community. In recent years, there's been a pushback against the corporations to get out of those agreements. And I don't know all the politics, but you got to pay off the locals, the local officials, or a major economic crisis to where there's just not enough money and there's too much criminality going on at City Hall to where they themselves jack the funding and take it away from those people in the community that should have a nonprofit, non-commercial station to share their views. Portland still has one. Denver still has one. Many cities do not. So if you're in an area that has an Access community channel, of course you could face your own community hating you because it's not like the internet. Doing a show on Access TV means your haters aren't just random people commenting. They're the people you see at the park. It's that person glaring at you at the supermarket with the ground beef. How many of you have had that experience where you walk into a grocery store and most of the people know you not from your channel because the channel's online, but because of cable television, because you were on TV that night? That's the world that I came from before YouTube. And see, the very topics that I started my show out, they're all flagged. 9/11, geopolitics. I don't want to keep talking. I don't want to keep saying names of countries. But the very things that I'm passionate about talking to you about are basically flagged, meaning future content uploaded to this channel regarding those topics can put my channel at risk. So I'm also letting you know that I'm not going to be discussing those things anymore because I want my content to stay up. And it's clear that we've been threatened. And the network of people around me are getting hit, basically. And I don't want to see that happen here. So the young up and coming, or even the older or elderly content creator, got to think in terms of podcasts. One thing I also realized about going and paying for service space instead of just having free, want everything for free. Well, I paid for outsidethebox.vhx.tv. And I'm going to pay more service space, another several $100s when I run out of the 50 hours. I maybe upload some of my best of content. I have to pay for that. Sure, people can subscribe and kick back a little. There are also VHX fees. And I don't have it all worked out, but, you know, my take overall, I haven't done the math, but it could be something like 70 to 80%, or even maybe something like 70% overall. That's still better than YouTube, where they're getting that amount. With VHX, you got to put a little in to get a little bit out. It comes with the free podcast section, meaning you can listen for free and I can upload for free. And so my one single volunteer, I only have one volunteer helping, and she gets overwhelmed. So if I ask for too much at once, so I try not to do that. I try. I could definitely use some additional volunteers. I'm taking some of my best of interviews from YouTube before it goes dark, not only saving the videos, but converting those at clipconverter.cc from MP4 files to MP3 files, and then uploading to outsidethebox.vhx.tv under the podcast section. So my 2005 interview with David Icke is there. My 2007 interview with the man that had a dream of Russia and China invading the United States, that is there as well. My discussion in 2009 with Joel Skousen about future wars with China and Russia, that will be there soon. my 3-hour discussion with Matthew Stein, the video that was demonetized right away, discussing how to prepare for an EMP or solar flare by going off grid and what skills you might need. Yeah, that was obviously not advertiser friendly, even though EMPs and solar flares are always in the news. It's if a non-government source is discussing it. I've seen this fascism, this corporate government merger. So a new YouTuber should understand it is so easy to get a website going. Look at the different looks that I've created. SolarMax News, WorldWarZero.com, TheDailyMatrix.com, AlexAnsary.tv. I don't know if I mentioned Off Grid Co. That's OFFGRIDCO.com. And then Chris Green, I run his blog, and that takes up most of my time, which is why I don't do a lot of videos now, is because that's my primary occupation. And so if that was to go away because of what's happening, I would more than likely go into doing daily videos and videos full time. So I'm building up to that point. I'm building and building and building up to that point of being in an energy space to where I can do all that every single day. Okay, but there's a certain amount of like mastery of like the mind, body, and spirit. Just be like, a 100% alternative media machine to work for someone else for 4 hours and then to step back from the computer and have the creativity to just do a video rant. But sometimes when I just have the creativity to be out in the sun and do a video rant, it's very hard to sit down and do someone else's blog. I've missed days working for amtvmedia.com because I'm too overwhelmed. And there are some days where I don't want to repost any geopolitical North Korea headlines. Nobody knows this about me. They just think I just sit here 24/7, just focused on that all the time. There's some days where I don't want to look at it or talk about it for days. It's also been suggested that I don't do videos every day, but I do higher quality videos on a weekly basis. I'm going to be experimenting with different things. Obviously, I'm putting out a podcast right now and uploading it today, this morning. Again, I'm in a unique situation to where I upload between 3 and 8 a.m. only because I'm off the grid and I'm using a generator to run the satellite. I put my generator inside the RV and close the door to keep the noise down. I have to actually do certain things at certain hours to even get you a video. It's not like the way other people live in the grid where they have unlimited internet. A lot of you have that ability to produce high def, full quality videos. And the technology is there and you can do more. That's the thing. They're doing this at a time where you can do more with less. It wasn't possible 10 years ago, I don't believe, to just buy a Walmart computer and have it in a reasonable amount of time produce a high def video. It took hours or overnight. The processing has become better. You don't necessarily need a Mac anymore. And I'm sorry if I use the Walmart word and we're supposed to hate Walmart and every computer. You can buy a $350 Walmart computer and produce your own television show. Webcam sucks. Buy a webcam. You get a little microphone. If you want to improve the audio quality and you can afford it, and I haven't been able to afford it, when I can, I will. I'll get an audio soundboard. That way you run all your audio through a board and then you can, adjust the ups and downs, get a USB soundboard until you bypass XLR. But you can plug an XLR directly into the soundboard USB into your computer, boom, you've got a show. If you got a friend to help you, you put up several webcams, you have a multi-cam show. All it takes is a volunteer. If I had a volunteer that was, say, living on site and I had a guest house, we could be literally producing, I don't want to say network level stuff, but 2-3 volunteers, you get a routine going down where someone just sits and does the news and you do it in one take, or a show. Put up a green screen. There's so much. This is what I learned, not on YouTube, but this is what I learned in Access TV, working with a guy named Bill and an old girlfriend who was my first love, who's not my love anymore, but she helps me in Portland still get the tapes. And we would set up lights for an hour. Sometimes I would get stressed and we would argue about it because other people would have lights moved around that were using the studio before us. This is at Portland Community Media off 2766 Northeast MLK in Portland, Oregon. That's a multi-million-dollar studio. It doesn't come from the taxpayers. Like out of every cable bill, because that agreement, Comcast has to give up, like, okay, fine, we'll give you $1. You know, like it's literally like a legal thing that's done at the city level. It's not taxes, it's a cable bill. You see the magic of it? So when you get initial experience seeing media created independently outside of YouTube, it gives you a different perspective and you value it more, because YouTube is no longer seen as the origin of independent content. You look at Access TV, which started in the mid-1970s, and you look at old analog technology and old editing decks, and then old documentaries that were edited, even the old Alex Jones stuff, for those of you that like some of the old stuff. I like the old stuff, just not the new Alex Jones. He was editing like Police State 2000 on an old analog system and broadcasting that in a day and age where it was like raw, like, yeah, on Access TV. Access TV still exists. There are people out there that are not on the internet. All they do is just watch Access TV. You may never have heard of this. It's true. There are millions of fans of Access TV in America. But like the YouTube audience, if there's a call for help in some way, only a certain percentage of the viewers will take that call to action. We're not just talking about donations, because you can't do that on Access TV. But you could say, write your senators, please write your congressmen, and please ask them to not defund Access TV. There are certain people that be like, oh, I don't want them to defund Access TV, but they may not get off the couch to actually write that letter. And so once that show is over that they like on Access TV, then they go back over to MSNBC. I had a lot of fans that were, over the years, Democrats and Republicans. They like my voice. They like my style. They like that information. They also like being a Democrat or a Republican. They also like other shows in which I'm sure their hosts would see nothing in me, like Rachel Maddow, Alex Jones, Rush Limbaugh, Michael Savage, Ed Schultz, all these left-right people. There are people that were my fans of my show. And then when my show was over, then they would go back to wherever they were. So they don't necessarily have to be fans. We're just reaching them with information. The new YouTube content creator should, as well as the older one, whether you've been around for years, whether you're younger or older, look at what it really means to be involved in the independent media. If you think it's just operating on a corporate website like YouTube that masqueraded as the place for us, you're wrong. There are other websites, and when I'm able to zone in on those websites that are websites that may provide something for the content creator, where it's a fair trade, then I'll promote those websites. For now, I'm open to I want to see if there are more and more people that are buzzing around and hearing about a good alternative YouTube AdSense where people can basically make something off of what, like, you can put up something on all types of websites for free. But in terms of the content creator benefiting, because there are also videos that I put up for free in which I never got the memo that they were shutting down their website. And so I lost hundreds of videos. I can't remember the website now, but they were high-def videos. And for a while, I wasn't uploading to YouTube in 2008. I was uploading a lot of my great shows then to another website. I'm trying to remember what it is, but I never got the memo. Now, that Joel Skousen interview that you see where we're talking about future wars, I listened to a little voice inside to download that video from that site. The problem is I didn't download all the videos. So I was able to preserve the evidence of my interview with Joel Skousen about World War III in 2009. Everything else, gone. And so there are reasons why we don't want to waste our time getting into other social media ghettos. That includes Sue, that includes other things. You want to think about your own website next. A lot of people are totally resistant to commenting outside of YouTube. Don't give up. Build your forum anyways. It took my webmaster months to build AlexAnsary.tv forums, and only one person has joined the forum to comment. Now think about that. I have 12,000 subscribers. This video will have several hundred, and maybe one person will sign up to the forum simply because, and I'm not insulting anyone, it happened to me too. We're used to commenting and communicating in the social media ghettos. I've spent more writing and done more writing on my Facebook than I have at alexansary.tv. I take accountability for that, and I'm identifying this as a social problem. We've been conditioned to let social media be the driving place where we place our content, our video content, our audio content, our written content, our essence. You can even say our soul. Have you ever heard that song? They want your soul. So the independent content creator, it is about raising your own income through audience support and through other ways. Now, we need to revolutionize other ways. There's nothing wrong with selling quality products. There's affiliate marketing. It's really arguable that you need to have a certain amount of web traffic to make any sales whatsoever. So when you look at my site, you see no affiliate marketing. They're just a little Google ad thing that brings in like a few pennies, literally a few pennies a month. I make probably $5 a month off of the ads that are on the websites because I'm not running a high traffic website. Now AdSense is under $100 a month, according to the estimated earnings on the analytics. Hopefully it will improve. Okay, so now, I mean, that's like for me, that's an 85% reduction. Am I starting to make up, a certain amount on the other? Very slowly. But I have faith that in time, the on-demand channel is going to grow. And I'm totally willing to be patient. I have no malice or anger at audience members that aren't signing up. That's why I'm doing a longer podcast today, right? Here at 5:04 in the morning, letting people know what the larger situation is. This isn't just about me, in other words. This isn't just about AMTV, Christopher Green, in other words. This isn't just about controversial YouTube content creators, in other words. This is about all the independent YouTube content creators. This is about all the websites that are running Google AdSense that at one point could be considered the enemy. They made it easy for us to become dependent on their platforms as the internet was built. And as we witness this handoff of the internet, and notice, I mentioned China, Russia, when I talk about those issues, they're demonetized. This isn't just like a pro-US. You need to think outside the box when you think about the New World Order. Because if you're unable to do that, you're not going to be able to see what's controlling YouTube. If you can't see real globalism, if you can't see real New World Order, Russia, China, and the US already establishing this and manufacturing wars to depopulate and create negative energy for the entities that they serve. Sorry, but this is the type of stuff that I've been pondering for years. And why would this AI-based system consider those topics offensive? I wonder why. Maybe it's because some people are waking up. So I'm going to end my thoughts here. Have confidence in yourself. Build your own platform. Just because I'm giving you this advice doesn't mean I'm implementing all these things, because like I said, I'm busy, because I'm surviving, maintaining someone else's website, so I can't do all this with my own. But you build your own website, you put up videos for free, and create an on-demand channel, and you post them on a regular basis. Take my advice. Do as I say, not as I do. But post everything to your website. Create a forum, create polls, create other ways for your audience to engage with you. Let them comment. People can comment if they want to do at my website. The earlier you get in, you start these healthy website practices, the easier it's going to be for your audience to realize that your main presence isn't on YouTube, that they can find stuff at your website, podcasts that aren't on YouTube, for example, on-demand documentaries and videos discussing things that aren't on YouTube, art, photography. There's a gallery, for example, at alexansary.tv featuring, I think it was there, or it's at least over at the Facebook page. And so add value, blog. You don't have to be an expert at what you're talking about to be interested in the topic, to be passionate about the topic. That's what's needed. So don't give up, and you're going to have haters as you start experiencing aspects of success. And that is basically the nature of the beast. No pun intended. And that's just something that you're going to have to evolve through. And it's something that I've had to learn how to evolve through and coexist with, and learn how to override and not get distracted by people that want to get you into a one-on-one debate to steer you away from what you're speaking about. And they don't even know why they've developed these obsessions. But it is a mental illness that has risen within our society, and an incredibly large amount of men. And, you know, we can look at like the destabilization of family and relationships and internet addiction. You know, it's not just about other forms of addictions to things on the internet, but just the internet in general. But specifically trolling on the internet as a way of life. We're in a brave new world. And so where this behavior is going to go in 5 years and 10 years, it looks a little terrifying. And so be aware of that you want to keep your focus on the message. You want to keep the focus on your content. You want to continue to put value in your content, and you need to see independent media for what it is, what it has been, and what it's evolving into. The YouTube Independent Media Association is like associating eating beef with McDonald's. McDonald's is a corporate chain. They serve poor hamburgers, but it's cheap, it's easy, it's popular, easy place to get a job, quick place to get a bite, kind of like YouTube. Kind of like YouTube. But you can be left with a bit of indigestion. It's not real meat. With YouTube, you're dealing with subliminals. With YouTube, you're dealing with mind control. That's why you deal with more trolls on YouTube than other sites. There's something about the YouTube interface that is affecting them subliminally on a aggressive fight level. We're being brainwashed. Something's going on. And so there is something about having your own platform, not just because of the SEO, but because of the energy being cleaner. Like the idea of someone going off the grid. Here I am going off the grid, and I'm moving the stuff away from YouTube also. And I'm seeking to work for myself and create media full time, or for this to be the main thing that I focus on. In between going outside and meditating under the sun for hours, reading books, growing some food, catching some rainwater, which I'm doing. And if I can get a part-time job, right, a local fruit company or something, instead of work at Walmart, that would be great. Part-time job, then come back, make some videos. You know, so I think that what I'm doing is historic, and I think it sets a good example. It also comes with great risk and a little bit of paranoia. Doing independent media out in the woods with no allies for miles. And when I say miles, I mean hundreds to thousands. I'm literally physically all alone. I've also shown some of you that they didn't take me out 10 years ago. But if you think this rhetoric is rhetoric that the CIA is planting, that's insane. I, as a individual, have made it this long to the age of 37. I started when I was 24. And still, you know, there's risks in the future that can come, but I've made it this far. I've stood in the face of my critics that said I'd be dead by this time. You don't know what the Portlanders said. But see, there's some nasty things that were said over the years because I chose to be independent. And I'm telling you what, you want to get in the game of telling the truth, it's not going to be popular. There's going to be distractions coming out of the woodwork to tell you that you're no good. The earlier you build your own platform, your forum, your website, and then you point back to that and you continue to blog, the less dependent you're going to be on the social media ghettos. So get outside the box of asking how you can make it on YouTube. And instead, how you can thrive as a successful independent content creator and not even be dependent on the Google search ranking, but to build your audience. It's not about building a cult. It's about building networks and an audience from the grassroots, from the ground up, outside of social media, outside of the comment sections, outside of Facebook, outside of those things. And if you're telling the truth, at least in your heart, and you're trying to help, hey, it isn't about waking up the whole world or being number one. It's about helping the people that you can. So whether that's 15 people or 20 people or 100 people, doesn't matter. I know that my content, even if people don't agree with all of it, some of the videos have helped some people in some way. A sense of empathy. Hey, this guy is speaking like my own thoughts. I have empathy. Wow. I'm feeling this feeling. I'm not alone. I've helped a lot of people around the world realize they are not alone. So many people have commented on the first person they've heard talking about certain things that they felt in their mind was true. So we've developed, I guess, a connection through that. And those videos are still there. And they're still watching them. I haven't left YouTube. And the only way I'm going to be leaving YouTube, per se, is if YouTube takes me out of the game. Right now, they're attacking others. And because I have seen my ads go away and my videos demonetized, I'm concerned that I'm next. I want you to know how you can find me outside of YouTube. I want you to know how you can support my work. I want you to know why I'm doing this out of survival as I prepare for my future. I'm not going to lose out on my investment here on the land. I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep what I've got. And in several years, I would like to move elsewhere. That's right. In several years, I would like to move somewhere more remote. I am off the grid, but I am surrounded by a number of things in close proximity that are as distracting as screaming people in the city. So, hey, with that, I'm Alex Ansary signing off for this early morning of May 5th, 2017.